Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Debbie and I am basically making my way through all the books in the house that I've popped on my bookshelf, and yeah, I'm just making my way through all the books and I've still got quite a lot to go. And then I'm also reading a lot of books on BorrowBox, the app, which is connected to my local library. So today's one is from BorrowBox and it's called The Pact by Amy Heydenrych. Not completely sure, it could be Heydenrych or Heydenrych. If you do know the correct pronunciation of that surname, please let me know in the comments below. That is the front cover of the book. In front it says, "What if a prank becomes murder?" Let's go into that blurb straight away, shall we? When Freya arrives at her dream job with the city's hottest startup, she can't wait to begin a new and exciting life, including dating her new colleague, Jay. However, Nicole, Jay's ex and fellow employee, seems intent on making her life a misery. After a big deadline where Nicole continually picks on her, Freya snaps and tells Jay about the bullying, and together they concoct a revenge prank. The next morning, Nicole is found dead in her apartment. Is this just a prank gone wrong? Or does Freya know someone who is capable of murder? And could she be next? If you've been here long enough, you'll know that a good murder mystery style is very up my alley, which is probably why I could not put this book down. I did the majority of it in one sitting. I think I read the first chapter, put it down. A couple of days later, when I got home from work, I read it on the sofa and literally could not put it down. And it got to the point when I had about 40 pages left and it was like 11 o'clock at night and I was there going, I need to go to bed, because I kept doing that thing where you go, oh, I'll just do one more chapter, and then I got to the end of the chapter and went, oh, but I need to know what happens next. I can't leave it like that, I have to move on. So I kept kind of telling myself I had to keep reading at the end of each chapter, to the point where it was 11 o'clock at night and I was just like, I've got to go to work in the morning, so I really need to go to bed. And then I think it was the following night I finished it off. This book was, it took me on a ride, I'll tell you that. There comes a point as you're reading it when you realise there's more than one pact between characters in the book, and so you start to wonder which pact the title is referring to. Because I'll admit, the title and the blurb implies the pact is between Freya and Jay in regards to their involvement in the prank. And then as you go through, you realise that Freya has a pact kind of going with her friends. There's certain points when it almost points towards her friends in a way. As I was going through, I definitely started to get really weird ideas. Really weird? I started to get really bizarre ideas on where it was going to go. And I will admit that when it all comes out, I realised I'd half guessed it. I didn't have the full thing. And to be honest, I've actually returned the book now, but I kind of want to read the first chapter again so I can see if there's anything in that first chapter that hints towards where it ended up. But yes, so to anybody else who has read this book, I want to know, were you like me, where you half guessed it? Or did you see it coming? That's what I really want to know genuinely from people. It's all done from the point of view of Freya, who works at this company, and Isla, who is a reporter. So you've got Isla trying to figure out what happened to Nicole. Isla has her own history that she's trying to confront, and she sees some of her story in Nicole's story, and she really wants to fight for Nicole and find out what happened to her. So you've got Isla kind of standing up for a woman who was murdered, and then through Freya you're seeing that the victim wasn't as squeaky clean as the media lets on. Through Freya you find out that Nicole, the murdered girl, was a bit of a bully. It kind of goes through that thing of, did Nicole have it coming? Because the way Nicole treats Freya is horrible. It's like typical school bully type thing of Nicole talking about Freya behind her back, whispering, making fun of her fashion choices. When Freya starts a relationship with Jay, who happens to be Nicole's ex, Nicole goes into things of just saying, oh, well, you know, you need to keep it out of the office, which, to be honest, Freya and Jay try to keep it outside the office. They try not to make it too obvious, even though it seems everybody knows. But yeah, Nicole is very horrible to Freya as the new girl. You find out that Freya, she makes her own clothes. She's also a bit of a nerd. She's in coding and computers, and Freya comes on the scene and is seen as kind of better at this job than Nicole, who's been doing it for quite a long time. And Freya's coming in as a young person into it and is really making a mark on the company. And you think, is there a bit of jealousy going on there? When you find out that Jay and Nicole have a history, you think, is there a bit of jealousy on that part because Freya's now going out with Nicole's ex? And so when you find out how Freya snaps and says, okay, this is getting way, way too far, and so Freya and Jay decide to play this prank. I'm not sure if I should say what the prank is because it's quite a reveal in the book. I will say that it involves social media, and it all kinds of turns around on Freya after Nicole has passed away. They're trying to work out if, because of the prank, that somebody turned up looking for Nicole and that was how Nicole was murdered. So as you go through and you realise that, oh, hang on a second, somebody is now stalking Freya and sending messages to Freya, and Freya thinks that somebody knows what they did. Does that make any sense? I'll probably watch this back and go, how the hell am I going to edit that into normal English? But yeah, so you're constantly going through like flashbacks set into the chapters like the night of the murder, like 3 months after the murder, 3 months before the murder, and it keeps going backwards and forwards through the present to find out everybody's story, basically. So you find out what Freya was like at school, with how she met all her friends, a pact that she had with her friends in regards to like growing up and where they'd end up. Then you obviously learn about the pact between Freya and Jay, and then you realise that there may be a pact going on between somebody in the business and Julian, the big boss, who gives off creepy vibes from the very, very beginning. There's certain points in the book where Freya is questioning little hugs from Julian and saying, oh, is his hand just going a bit low there? Did he just linger a little bit on that hug? And so as you go through, there's also a story about harassment and sexual harassment in the workplace. So just popping that bit out there in case anybody will have any issues with that part of the story, because obviously if you have been a victim of something like that, reading about it I imagine would probably be very, very difficult. So please be aware that there is quite a significant sexual harassment storyline. God, there's just so much that happens, and the way it kind of drips that information through the flashbacks and the flash forwards, and throughout it you really are kind of trying to figure out Freya's state of mind throughout all of it, because you've got her state of mind when she starts at the job and she realises that Nicole is bullying her. You've got her state of mind after Nicole dies and trying to understand her own role in what happened that night, and then at the end when it more comes out and it turns around again, which obviously I'm not going to spoil the ending, but then you realise that Freya's state of mind throughout the whole book has just been, it's warped in a way, realising that from the beginning Freya's mental health was teetering on the edge. There is quite a bit about mental health in this book as they look at kind of Nicole's mental health throughout everything, and how she was treated at work and socially, and how her workplace handled that, and then how they handle Freya's mental health following everything. And you realise that this place that Freya thinks is an incredible place to work, you know, her dream job, and she realises at the core of it, it's all quite corrupt, and it's not the safe haven that she thought it was, and that the people that she thought was there to help her don't actually care, and they're actually looking out for somebody else entirely. As I said, there's so much to unpack in this book, and I really did read it very, very quickly. It's 400 pages long, and it's in contemporary fiction and crime and thriller, and its target audience is adults. I definitely agree with that target audience, just because of how it handles some of the storylines in regards to the sexual harassment and the bullying and the social media side of things, especially in this day and age. Because if I had read this book as a teenager when social media started happening, because obviously I grew up, you know, through MySpace and the beginnings of Facebook. If I'd read something like this when I was a teenager, I would have been absolutely terrified of social media. And to be fair, I think we still need to be wary of social media, the way it's used, especially because you're looking at a workplace that's focused on computers and coding and all that kind of things, and so you're looking at characters that can easily hack computers and social media, and that leads into Freya's storyline where she ends up being stalked. There's certain points where I was just like, is this who we think it is that's stalking Freya, or is it a bit of a red herring, and is it going to end up being somebody we haven't been introduced to properly yet? And I'm going to leave that there because obviously I don't want to spoil things, but throughout it, especially as you get to know Jay and how he interacts with women, by the end of the book, well, to be fair, at first I was very wary of the character of Jay, because there was just something about him that just didn't seem quite right, and I was trying to understand why that character was being portrayed in that way. And then as you go through, you realise, okay, so this makes you kind of understand why Freya is completely doe-eyed for him and why her friends are so wary for her. And then through that you find out the relationship between the boss Julian and Jay, and how they work together and what they are actually doing. Oh, I feel exhausted talking about this book. I read it a couple of days ago. I was planning on reviewing this a little bit sooner, but with work and things I just didn't have the time to sit down and make this video. But I'm currently on day 2 of having 4 days off. I actually had my jab this morning. My arm feels really sore now. I could probably take this thing off now, actually. But yeah, I'm double dosed now. Yay! But yeah, it gives me a couple of days to kind of recover from this and think about the impact of this book. It's got a very clear storyline about the way women are treated in the business place. There is definitely a bit of a feminist storyline going on there. One of its main themes is the sexual harassment of both Freya and Nicole in the workplace, and also the way Isla is treated at her workplace as she is investigating this story. But at the same time you are also aware that it's bigger than Isla as it all comes out, because at first you're thinking, is Isla being bullied at work out of reporting on this story because she's a woman, or has she stumbled upon something so big, bigger than herself, that it's got the people who are trying to stop her from reporting on it are actually trying to protect somebody else. As I said, it's a whirlwind. It's a roller coaster, this book, because of how much happens in it, and like 370 pages. You know, you can imagine there's a lot packed in there. The chapters they're not long, they're not short, but it's enough to keep you going. And I felt like there was a cliffhanger at the end of every single chapter, which is why I was so hell-bent on keeping going. At the end of each chapter where I was going, oh, I'm just going to do one more chapter and then I'll go to bed, and then get to the end of the chapter and I'd be just going, no, I need to know what happens next. Oh, I just need to do one more chapter. I just at the end of each chapter, I had to know what was going to happen next. And I think that's a sign of a really good book, when you cannot put it down. So the fact that I managed to do this, it was essentially 3 sittings, but I did the majority of the book in one night. But yeah, the title definitely refers to a few pacts made between characters throughout the book. And as you realise as you go through, sorry, my brain just went. The big thing for me when reading this book was focusing on the relationship between Freya and her friends. Because there are times when you think, oh, this is just her support group. And then you realise, no, wait, they're more than just her friends and her kind of support group while she's being bullied by Nicole. There's something more to this friendship than is being let on at the moment. And as you go through, you realise that Freya's relationship with certain friends may be affecting how they are treating her throughout the story. And then in that final chapter, it just completely turns it on its head again. Just when you think you know what's happened, it turns on you in like the final couple of pages. I've read another book that did that to me, and it was The Rumour. Yeah, it was The Rumour by Leslie Cara. This one was, I think this was in my Christmas books. Yeah, there's a couple of books later I did Christmas for one, so this was from the last time I did so many books of Christmas. In that book, it kept twisting and turning, and then it was turned again on you on like the final page. And The Pact has a similar ending, where just when you think you know what's happened, it throws something else at you and you're just like, wait, what? Even though I half guessed it, I definitely did not get that final puzzle piece. Because of the way it's done, it does make me want to reread it and see if I can see anything else in the narrative that points you in the right direction. I kind of want to do that with The Rumour as well, actually. I always find it so interesting when a book does that to you, where you, just when you think you know everything, just something else just comes out completely out of left field and gives you like one final surprise, like on the final page. Can you tell I like this book? I think the fact that I did it, the majority of it in one sitting, tells you how much I enjoyed this one. But yes, that's The Pact by Amy Heydenrych. There you go. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. Stay safe, lovelies, and I am now going to go finish binge watching the second season of How to Get Away with Murder, because I realised I never finished the first season. I originally watched it with my mum, and I don't know what happened, we got bored of it, I don't know, and then I saw it come up on Netflix and was like, oh, I could give that a go again, because I liked the concept of it, I just don't remember really what happened, so I started season 1 again from the very beginning. And that was when I realised, yeah, I never finished the first season. When it got to the end of the season, it was just like, yeah, there was a couple of episodes there that I hadn't seen before, so. But now I'm already hooked, and I've started watching the second season, so. That's what I'm binge watching at the moment, and alternating that with American Horror Story, so. Anyway, I've got a battery to charge, and clothes to put away, so yeah. See you later.